Andrew Tate taught us that the enemy is real, and Kevin Samuels and Derek Jackson taught us that the devil will show up dressed up exactly as what we desire, a well-spoken, well-dressed Black man. I'm excited today. We're talking all about modern dating and dating apps. So if you're stubborn like me and not willing to give up on dating apps and you still believe in love, then listen up. I'm going to give you some guardrails, some rules, some boundaries to make sure that you are a winner at this modern dating game. And guys, I'm speaking directly from experience as someone that has been on and off on these dating apps from the start. Tinder almost 10 years ago to most recently of almost 2 months ago, right? On Hinge. So let's address the elephant in the room. Dating apps are dead.
That is social suicide.
I was heartbroken whenever I heard this, guys. But I can also see why it is also so frowned upon, why it's looked at so bad, because it is a wild out there, guys. I mean, it is literally the Wild West, and you don't need me to sit here and tell you guys. There's so many different creators, people that have experience and don't, and we'll get to that, speaking on this fact. When I think about dating apps and someone that has lived in 3 different cities in my 20s, dating apps gave me an opportunity to get out into the city, discover new bars, restaurants, and meet people. And I think of this in a good way and a bad way, right? The good thing is that I was able to quickly get myself out there and meet people. Almost 10 years ago, when I downloaded Tinder, and this was before it even became like a hookup app, my third date ended up being my boyfriend of 3 years. Now, the other side of that is I never found my own identity or myself in that city. Every experience that I had in that city was tied to him because I didn't really do the work of going and finding my own friends or finding what I actually liked in the city. My point here is that dating apps can really be an escape. It can keep us from actually developing some of those necessary social skills. I think of, myself as a woman, I can get on a dating app and I don't have to worry about going and making friends. I can get a date and someone can keep their attention and they can follow me around or take me wherever I want to go. And on the other side of that is a man that's probably in a similar situation. He's probably got some social insecurities. He's probably shy or more introverted, which is why dating apps seem to be a good fit for him. And I'm generalizing here, so just stick with me, right? And so it's a way for him to get out there without having to do so much work. And we'll get back to that work in a little bit. I mean, dating apps, they had decent intentions in the beginning. And I think all of us were just learning what to do in this new space where people were always online. And so dating apps just felt like a natural progression to the online experience. But it quickly became free meals and free ass. So I always tell people whenever you're looking to date and go on dating apps, you have to think about the other side, right? Like, what are the motivators for this person to be online as opposed to in real life? And then you can also use that as a mirror and ask yourself, why am I so keen or why do I want to be on these dating apps as opposed to meeting people in real life at events? Now, I know like it's hard to meet people in real life. It's hard to meet people at the grocery store, even at a bar, right? Like I feel like it's a weird thing to actually talk to somebody that you get their number or give your number out at a club. Like that's also a weird thing, but that's just like a whole nother discussion. There's so many challenges with dating in this generation, but we're going to keep it focused on just dating apps. Okay, and the internet has honestly done such a good job of describing why dating apps are trash and why women are taking back our power and getting off of the dating apps. And if you ask a man, they're taking back their power and they're getting off of apps, whatever side you see. I honestly knew that the dating apps were coming to an end whenever you guys started posting entire threads of conversations that you were having with your matches. I mean, dating is such a vulnerable experience. So imagine seeing yourself in your conversation just posted for the whole world to see. And yes, I'm looking at you, Gen Z. Like, why did we start this trend of posting our, match conversations for the internet to judge and view? I'm not loving it. Now, there is another side to that, right? Like there's men that are sending like ridiculous explicit photos. Like you do deserve to be exposed in those situations. And so I absolutely think that that's appropriate. But again, dating is a vulnerable experience. And I think we're just as guilty, maybe not just as, but we're also guilty, like the dating apps, for sensationalizing this dating app experience where we put humor, shame, greed into it. And when I say greed, yes, I'm looking at you, sugar babies. We all have some sort of part in muddying these dating app waters. I recently stumbled upon Sadie Khan and Mark Manson's interview and their whole review of modern dating and dating apps. And I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I am so tired of seeing married people that have never even gone on a dating app before or dated through a dating app get online and sit down and try to tell us single people how to live our life, right? And try to give us advice, like they would know, like, where's their experience? Where's their credentials? They might have the educational perspective. I know both of them did like singles coaching, but at the same time, I'm like, you guys are both married. You guys have never been on the app. So, like, what are you really bringing to the table here? As I listened to that interview or that episode, I did take away something, but I don't think it was too profound. But I just feel like it was a really clearly articulated analysis of the dating scene. And they said something like this: modern dating is training people for divorce, practice all the skills to recover from heartache, to break up, to have dissociated sex, to look for intrinsic values like money, power, greed, status, all of those things. And you don't ever learn how to maintain a genuine connection. It's just replace and recover. And I couldn't disagree with that. Like I said, you have to be mindful of the motivations of all of these people online. It's a market, and so people will do things to raise or decrease their market value. Now, before I get into some of the guardrails and tips, I also have to acknowledge the fact that dating and dating apps, the experience that you're going to have on it is going to vary based off of gender, race, status, sexual orientation. All of these different things really play a large factor into that with online dating, and it's not fair at all. So, with that being said, back and forth with dating apps, having good experiences, having bad experiences, I started feeling like I didn't have the tools to be successful. And anytime I feel like I'm failing at something, I'm going to get some help. I remember stumbling upon Shannon Boodram. I can't remember exactly what brought me to her, but maybe it was a Friend Zone podcast. But, anyways, I found Shannon Boodram, and at the time, she had just put out this book called The Game of Desire. And so she followed 5 women and she was like their dating coach. She gave them makeovers, gave them tips, and kind of put them through several different workshops. So I read that book. And at that time, I was just so fixated on increasing my market status. I felt like I was a sweet, innocent woman that was just so ready for marriage. And so I just felt like if I had just a little bit of guidance, a little bit of coaching, I would be able to find my husband. And as I felt like I started to get more and more information about the dating scene, I just started to get more frustrated. It felt like everything that I was doing was just leading me to failure. Being honest and upfront, being clear about what I wanted, all of that was just leading me to getting played over and over again, to be honest. And so I stopped wanting to play nice. Something in me shifted and I was just like, you know what? I don't think I'm playing with the same rules that everyone else is. So I remember finding Robert Greene. I think that Shannon Boodram had referenced him in her book, The Game of Desire. And so that's when I found The Art of Seduction, The 48 Laws of Power, The Laws of Human Nature. And I was so intrigued. I mean, finding Robert Greene completely changed my dating game. And stick with me here, right? Because like I did go down a crazy rabbit hole, like many of you might be on if you found this video. What I finally started to get was like a real craving for real intimacy. And that was because I feel like I finally started to understand a little bit more about the human dynamic and the humanity in the search for love, right? Like my desire wasn't necessarily to game anyone, but it was more so to learn how to be a better lover for the person or a better character, better player in this game of love. I don't know. Let me refine that for you guys. What it really was is that I finally saw that people weren't perfect, right? Like I could finally drop this idea that someone was going to come and save me. I could really release that because it really was just a fairy tale. The reality is that people are messy, people have dark desires, and it's okay to lean into some of those safely. And I love the way that Robert Greene describes love. He describes it as an intricate dance. Everybody has their part, everybody has their flow, anticipating the next person, moving within space, not necessarily speaking things directly, but understanding because you have that connection with your partner. Love is literally a distraction from reality. And so being so literal in a thing like love, there's no fun in that. We have work for that. We have family. We've got other kinds of relationships that require us to be black and white. But love, that's where we get to really have so much fun in that kind of that gray space in between. So really changed the entire way that I date now. Now I date for fun, for pleasure. I still want commitment at the end of the day, but every experience is an opportunity for me to learn something about someone else or learn something more about humanity. And the act of love is work. It's really learning your partner and understanding how to give them that distraction from all of the seriousness of day to day life. And so, other gurus and other creators learned so much self respect and how to set my value from Shira and the whole sprinkle sprinkle movement. Lori Harvey taught me that I'm the prize and I don't ever have to forget that. I mean, she also taught me how to walk away. I mean, if she can leave Michael B. Jordan, then I can leave whatever fuckboy I'm dealing with at the time. Honestly, like Shira 7 and the whole sprinkle sprinkle movement, I am absolutely for. And you guys don't have to take everything so literally, but do you know how many women Shira has released from the shackles of the bare below minimum effort men? I mean, men that are literally making women work in relationships, and not the good kind of work of learning your partner, but the work of literally doing everything and taking care of a grown ass child. And so I appreciate that perspective, right? To me, Andrew Tate taught us that the enemy is real, and Kevin Samuels and Derek Jackson taught us that the devil will show up dressed up exactly as what we desire, a well spoken, well dressed Black man. But the enemy is real, and we have to be careful, especially if we're going to willingly put ourselves out there in this modern dating game and get back on the dating apps. Now, however problematic each of these people are that I listed, from Shara Seven to Andrew Tate, Kevin Daniels, Derek Jackson, they're all problematic in their own ways, right? But we can still learn something from them. We can't be so innocent. We can't fall for the tricks of these different fools. We have to come prepared with our own guidelines and our own rules of engagement. And I'm going to read a quote from GL Lambert, and I'm kind of conflicted about him. I think his advice is really good in books like Hoe Tactics. However, like he's got such a condescending tone. Like I just don't understand why he has to deliver the message in the way that he does. But when I think about Derek Jackson and the way that he, sweetens the message and all the shade that he be doing, I'm like, whatever, which one is better? It doesn't matter. But GL Lambert wrote, weak women blame to explain, strong women who are looking to better themselves do the math no matter how much the truth hurts. And I couldn't deny the truth any longer. And one thing about me is, as a shy, introverted person, I did observe the world around me. And there are so many women actually winning at this dating game. There are women that are finding their husbands online. There are Black women that are finding their husbands online. It's not a lot, but it's a few. So, what are the things that we can do to make sure that we are part of the few that actually win in this modern dating game and online dating? So, the first thing that I would recommend that you do is be clear about what you want on dating apps. Are you there for a committed long term relationship? Are you there for fun? Are you there for a sponsor? Right? I'm not here to judge, but just knowing what you want or what you desire out of the dating apps is going to help you move accordingly. Next is go at it in bursts, right? Like I say, go 1 month on, 1 month off, or 2 months on, 2 months off, or even do like a rolling quarter. Online dating can be really overwhelming. There's so many different things at play. There's a market, right? So there's so many different people, so many conversations that you have to keep up, and it is real work. So don't get burnt out too quickly. Go at it in bursts, and don't forget to take your breaks. Now, my personal rule is never like or approach first. Just the same way that I would recommend not walking up or approaching a man, I think you should do the same thing online. Anytime that I have ever liked a guy first or sent a rose, I've never paid for anything, but like sent a rose or whatever, it has never worked. So, you're on my video and this is my advice. And I say, don't approach first, not even online dating. Never pay for a first date. We don't pay to date. I'm sorry, I'm part of the sprinkle sprinkle movement. I just don't think as a woman that you should pay for a date. You're on my video again, that's my perspective. I don't think you should pay to date. Now, of course, for safety reasons, always go to public places and always share your location and let people know exactly where you are. I mean, that should just be, I shouldn't even have to say that. Now, you have to be mindful of the type of men that are online dating, and a lot of them are getting a little bit more hip to movements like Share Seven and the Sprinkle Sprinkle movement. And so instead of wanting to pay for a date, they'll want to take you to like a museum or like a free fun activity. I think that's great. Go into it just realizing that if he actually likes you, he's going to spend money on you. And so if the date goes well, the free part of the event, and then he takes you home, I don't think he likes you. But if he takes you to the free part of the event, the museum or whatever, and then pays for dinner after, you're on a good track. And I follow the 3-month rule strictly. Like, I'm so strict about this 3-month rule. If you haven't raised the topic of being committed, if that's what you desire, of course, of being committed after 3 months, you have to cut them off completely. I really recommend having a conversation if you can safely. Don't go ghost. But I mean, it is or it isn't. 3 months is more than enough time. If it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck, right? If he is fine, charismatic, so sweet, so kind, but you feel like there's something off about him, like realistically, and he shows you that he doesn't text back all the time, or maybe he cancels dates or whatever, maybe you have a feeling that there's another woman. If it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Always trust your instinct, always. Next, you have to move like you have the power. If you feel like you don't have the power in whatever dynamic situation that you're in, you need to move on. If you feel like they have control over your emotions, cut it. We're on these online dating apps to find love. We're not on here to lose respect for ourselves or question our self confidence or self image. Okay. It's just not worth it. So maintain the power. You are the prize, or don't go with it. And I'm going to tell you, these guys, these men out here are going to try to influence you and sway you otherwise. They're going to try to tell you that you've hit a wall. They're going to try to break you down so that they can influence you. Don't fall for it. And that goes along with this next one. If a man tries to humble you, leave. Like, be done. You can finish the evening, the night if you want. After that, let him know it was nice to see you and move on. Don't ever let anybody humble you, okay? The world is chaotic enough. The world will humble you on your own. You don't need someone that you're actually trying to build love with or whatever situation you want with to humble you. It's just not worth it. Only date if it's fun. If you're not having fun in the situation, leave it. Period. Right? And I say that specifically for online dating. I think dating in real life is a little bit different. Like, it's not always going to be fun, but online dating, especially when you're in that honeymoon phase of the relationship, the first 3 months of the relationship should be the best time because you're still learning each other. There's no reason why it should ever be chaotic. Any sign of toxicity, leave it alone, sis. Leave it alone. Now, always remember that dating is for you, not against you. And if you ever start to feel like it's not, leave it. Always remember that you can speak up for yourself. And if you ever feel like you can't speak up for yourself with a person or your partner, again, leave. And always take care of yourself and go into it without judging people. Try to take a break from people like me that want to share their opinions online. You don't want to go in with such a negative mindset. You do want to go in and be open. You don't want to carry old baggage. You just want to be smart about the situation that you're putting yourself in. And at the end of the day, don't do anything you don't want to do, like, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Don't do anything you don't want to do ever. And just remember, men are on the hunt. There's one thing that they want out of this. And you know what I'm talking about. They are going to do anything to get it. They will lie, they will cheat, they will do crazy things, they will do anything for it. Use that to your advantage, but be careful, okay? Don't fall for the tricks. Dating apps are ultimately a big risk to women. So just make sure that you are safe and protecting yourself. You have to make sure that it's worth it to you. Anything that makes you question your self image, your confidence, or humbles you is not worth the risk. Now, guys, I actually think we're in a really great position to date right now. Like, we have an opportunity to really change the game when it comes to dating. We have so much access to therapy and emotional intelligence, online communities, online support, that we really should be that much better in the dating game. So I am ultimately such an optimist, especially for the dating market and finding love. You know, it's not a situation of we have to, it's we want to. And when you go into situations with choice, I think just beautiful things happen. Sorry for all the buzzing, but if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Let's talk about it. But thanks so much. Bye-bye.